So I'm not even gonna acknowledge my 9-month hiatus. I was just going through a pretty busy year, don't mind it. Anyway, FF just drove me crazy with this new teaser and I have so much to talk about it, you have no idea. A couple of days ago, Spectre sent us a message saying they were gonna release a progress post soon, which already got me hyped as at this point the announcement of our release date is something I could expect to be revealed, as there is other information about the update. Well, a few days passed and the progress post just went out, showing new content that is gonna make this game completely different than the one we know now. Even for veterans, it's gonna feel like playing FF for the first time with so much new stuff to learn and master. At the Twitter post we already get the view of a new area, which I think I know what it is, but I'll have to come back here later. Moving to the actual post, we are already greeted with an interesting image of two NPCs or players greeting each other. One of them is holding a bag, the same that was previously shown by Spectre, and the other holding a flower and a cool looking staff. In my opinion, those two are NPCs that have some important role in the game lore, but the right one could be a player possibly too. Then it states that the post was written by Gorbacelli, as you'll notice while reading it. It talks a bit about how their life was going through this year, and they had difficulties to face along with the weight of having to develop the update, and they really dedicated themselves to deliver the best for the players. But they got really stressed because of some problems that happened, most notably one that had them severely change the game to be able to work on it. To sum it up, as they continued to progress, they started having a lot of issues with Roblox Studio, that was often disconnecting them from their team create while they were working. And at some point they started making them lose progress, that was happening all the time. So Spectra made some posts in the dev forum asking for help, but was unable to get much until months after. And soon they had another major issue, which was preventing them from playtesting the game at all. At this point they realized something had to be made, so after figuring out that those issues were happening due to the great size of the game, they decided to split it in multiple places. But you shouldn't worry, as it will be easy to traverse between worlds. What will happen is that the game is gonna be split into different worlds, each with a different dedicated place, just like the other world tower that is in another place instead of the normal Fantastic Frontier one. So now there's gonna be the Frontier world, including Matamata, the Rat Boy's Nightmare world, the Other World Tower world, and two entirely new worlds with new content and areas, where the majority of the new things coming in the update will be. One of these new worlds is for the early stuff, and the other for the late game areas. Now one of the things that amazed me the most in this teaser, just the first world, which holds the biggest area / zones in the game, is already much larger than the old Frontier and Rat Boy's Nightmare combined. Like, FF is already a game that stands out over most Roblox games for the size of its map, and now it's gonna be more than double the same size. We already knew new areas are gonna be huge, but this statistic is just incredible and hypes me even more. And not only that, although it was initially a way to avoid the problems the devs were facing, splitting the game in multiple places actually provides a lot of benefits to the gameplay. We will have to face much less lag and the mob spawn rate is likely to increase, as well as players being more centralized in each world, so servers are gonna feel less empty and possibly even the player cap is going to increase. So in my opinion, despite being a stressful change for the devs, it counts for a greater benefit, and will likely make this update even better. Then they reveal a bunch of promising features of the update. But before that, there is this image, which is quite similar to some of the teasers we got in the past. Basically we see one of the sky islands with some new flowers that we haven't seen yet, and a caterpillar. After reminding that the vast majority of content, areas and features haven't even been revealed yet, yes, they proceed to reveal some of amazing upcoming features that are basically turning FF into a different game at this point. First one being friend list, which is not too shabby. It's something a lot of games already have, but since FF is gonna be split into different places, that's gonna be quite helpful to find your friends and connect to them. Next feature is something I really like, which is a new type of NPC that allow you to transfer items to and from your inventory to any storage chest you own across the entire game, even in different worlds, which is what I think that NPC shown in the first image is, and that new area shown in the Twitter post probably depicts the place where that NPC is located. This feature is very helpful for managing items, and as a player with pretty much all storage slots filled, I love this addition. But what really caught my eye was the image attached to it, since we can see a couple of new items there. First is this red heart-shaped fruit, which I'm pretty sure is gonna be called heart fruit, as in one of the next images we'll be able to see that name. It seems to be a common early game item for new players to use as life regeneration source. Next we see the boomerang, which is shown in a previous teaser, but we weren't sure if it was a weapon that the players could use. I'm very curious to see how it will work in game. Then we see 2 other food, which by the looks imply to me that we're gonna be able to cook or craft food, using mushrooms and plants as ingredients. That is a nice extra feature, that if done similar to how Breath of the Wild does it, may be important to learn. At last we can see this new set, that in my opinion looks like an early game mage set, which is likely for those who chose mage as their starter class, spoiling one of the new features they mention. Also, one thing we can notice in this picture is that the Z key will now open a new menu, that by this icon I can only assume it's an emote feature. Also, the icon for the inventory was changed, but I was already spoiled in the node video posted by Spectra in Dev Forum. Overall, the layout looks nice, and I'm really looking forward to use the banking feature when it's available. Next we have the save slots feature, which is very common in RPG and adventure games, not only in Roblox. I didn't really mind the lack of this feature since you can just use a different Roblox account if you want to start a new game, but there are people who wanted this, so having it isn't harmful by any means. And to be fair, I think it goes along pretty well with the next feature, which are starter classes. This is definitely the most game changing out of them. That basically means early game FF is going to be completely different from how it is right now. There will be much more opportunities to follow different paths when you start a new game. And this in my opinion is key to turn FF into a popular Roblox game, since in the current state, the game isn't so friendly for new players, basically throwing them into the world to do whatever they want after a brief introduction to the mechanics. Not to mention there are gonna be 9 new starter classes, each is likely gonna have its own gear, and that induces me to believe we'll have new damage types, as previously theorized. Also, a couple of interesting details from the picture attached to it. It mentions that the starter sword for the warrior class can block hits, so that's a completely new feature. Nor this armor set or this sword, apparently called Reinforced Blade, is currently in the game. The class description mentions it starts with 8 heart fruits, which are likely that same one shown in the banking image, and the character customization area is revamped. Also we can notice an interesting painting in the mirror, that depicts a castle, which I have no doubt is going to be one of the many new areas in this update. At last, they mention some changes to early game. That basically confirms what many players have thought about a revamp in some features that feel a bit old or haven't been explored to their full potential. That includes changes to mining, crafting, combat, equipment balancing, early game objectives, dungeons, and the redistribution of overworld monsters. And they still intend to do more changes that will factor the game, to which they are accepting suggestions. And that's all we got for this progress post. To end it, there is an image of Blockman, whatever he is. Wouldn't surprise me if he was an antagonist or even a boss of the new dimensions. And that's everything we have for today. Just these snippets of content, knowing we still don't know the majority of what's to come, and getting more information on the real size of this update. Oh damn, it's too much for me. At this point when you join FF for the first time after it updates, it's probably gonna look like a completely new game. That's crazy. It's definitely taking some weeks or even months for the community to find out everything this update has to offer. It's amazing how after so much time and even without a release date, devs still get us hyped for it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm planning to release at least another video that I'm editing before the update actually comes, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget to look forward to the next updates by the developers in their Twitter accounts or in the Fantastic Frontier Discord server. Links to both are in the description. Hope you all stay well to play the update when it comes. See ya!